Alright, today I want to show you my Tepui roof tent, how to set it up, and we're out here in northern Minnesota, or eastern Minnesota. Let's get started. This is the Kukenam Sky model, and it sits on here, mounted with these L brackets. So first thing is to undo the cover. The install is pretty quick. It goes faster with the helper, but I'll do it myself just for illustrative purposes. So I unzip it. Goes 3/4 of the way around. Undo these straps. Helps to have chairs, or you can just step on running boards if you have them, or on the inside of the door. Pull this down. Lift off the cover. So a couple of the downsides here already. I kind of scratched up the cover a little bit, going under some trees on some off-road trails and stuff. So that'll happen. I just patched it up with some household goop. It works pretty well. Do these straps here on this side, and this one securing the ladder. Push it over already. Then take the cover off completely. Just hangs off to the side. We grab the ladder. Extend it all the way out. Pull the tent down. And then collapse the ladder until it should be an angle greater than 70 degrees with the ground. Then the only kind of tricky part is, well, you have to first of all make sure nothing is caught underneath here. You have to check the sides to make sure this sits properly in that rail. Over here too. And then you just kind of have to check that you're not slanted too much, otherwise you lay in there all with your feet up in the air or something. Alright, secure it like so. And pull over the corners. Undo this. This is the rain fly. Will be staked up with these rods. Thank you. Here are the rods. Just stick them through here and into these holes in the base of the tent. All right, so this is kind of tricky to get them in there. That's probably one of the hardest things to do, especially when it's dark and you have gloves on in the winter time. But if you have no gloves on, you can feel it still in the dark. And I've set this up plenty of times in the dark, even without using a flashlight. It's no problem. You can be in complete darkness. Up here, we had a huge bug that was caught in there when we closed the tent, and unfortunately, while it was in there under the cover, it started biting itself through the rain fly. So that's something to be aware of. These side covers for the side windows also get propped up like this for protection from rain and snow and stuff. That side done. This here, and this last one. Boom. Now all that is set up. When you're putting these in or taking them out, there's a lot of tension on these, so they can snap out if you don't get them in that hole properly, and then something like this will happen. So I have to touch that up. Another thing to look out for, what happened on my first trip with this tent already, or I don't know, it might have been like this in the factory, is that this mosquito net here kind of is coming loose. It hasn't gotten any worse, so it's okay for now, but something to be aware of. Open this up, and the bedding is all in here. It just kind of got folded over. Some of this out. The pillows I usually take out because they are really thick and make it kind of difficult to fold up sometimes. It's a nice day out, so you can open up these sides here, let some light in. And then on the top here, as you can see, there are mosquito nets and then actual covers just like these on the side here as well. And then the rain flies on top of that. And the cool thing about the Kukenam Sky model, which is this one, is you can take that rain fly off, and then if you open up the solid covers, you actually can stargaze if you would like to. So that is one other issue that I think might have been there from the factory is that this loop that you can see right here on this side, it's loose. It doesn't seem to be an issue at all. It's just something to be aware of, I guess, that there are little quirks with these. But that's about all I have for a review slash how to set up the Tepui Kukenam Sky roof tent. So that's the whole setup right there. Pretty sweet. I forgot to mention several inch thick foam mattress, very comfortable. One thing to kind of be aware of after you wake up in the morning, this mattress is kind of sweaty. You can see underneath there'll be a big a big kind of, well, it almost looks like a puddle. It's not a puddle, but you can see kind of the sweat from right where you were laying, especially in the center of the mattress. But at the end of the day, it's actually dry again, so somehow it still kind of dries out. I'm assuming if you really catch a rainy streak, it might become an issue. We haven't really had any real bad rain. We had rain one night, and the next day we just kind of, luckily it wasn't raining when we were putting it back together, so then we just kind of wiped off most of the moisture and tried to, you know, kind of tap it off of this, and wiped it as well as we could as we put it back together. And at night it was all dry and no problem. So I assume if it rains while you're putting it all together, you might have an issue of things being a little wet in there when you next set it up. So it's definitely beneficial. What I do normally in the morning too is, if I have time, I just leave it open for a while, open up everything, all the solid covers, so that convection can kind of let it dry out a little bit. And then of course if the sun's up, it really goes quickly. So that's the only other thing. Oh, and the cover here, it's I guess more of an issue too. If it were rainy, it rolls up. Yeah, one of the problems is you can't really access this door, so if you have a bunch of stuff in there, it's kind of difficult to get to. But what you can do is you can roll this up, and then this strap here, that it actually double functions to hold the tent cover on when the cover is covering the tent, but also when it's just on the side here, hanging underneath the tent. So you just kind of tuck this in real well, and then grab these straps, hook them in, and it's done. Now I also have the extension Annex, whatever it's called, that you can install here, and it kind of then ends up being a room right underneath here. But it doesn't have a back wall, and it's kind of tight, so maybe as a changing room it would work if you don't want to show your naked pride to the surroundings. Or maybe if it's a real bad rain, you can sit underneath there and with a small table or in a chair and at least have some sort of protection. But if it's really raining badly, it'll probably still run in under the wall because it doesn't have a floor. So that's basically it.